In the 2012 presidential election, the Republicans got demolished. Barack Obama won his second term in office with an astonishing 51% of the popular vote, beating Mitt Romney by 4 points and almost 5 million popular votes. However, these numbers did not seem to reflect the Republican powers that still existed in Congress today. But how is this possible? Barack Obama won by such a large margin of the popular vote, but the Republicans still held a majority stake in Congress? This happened as a result of the National Republicans launching a campaign that would seek to exploit every weakness in our electoral system. This campaign would be called Redistricting Majority Project, or Project Redmap. The strategy of Project Redmap was to keep or win control of state legislators with the largest impact on congressional redistricting. Because every decade following the census, the task of redrawing federal congressional district boundaries falls in the state legislator's office. If Republicans can have control of redrawing districts, the party could lock in new districts that would favor the Republican candidates. Now, with all this talk of redistricting, what exactly is redistricting? Redistricting is the process of drawing new electoral district boundaries in order to equalize district populations. But when one political party redistricts in a way to gain advantage over another political party, this is called gerrymandering. We will now watch a video that explains gerrymandering along with its history in politics.
Most people have heard the word gerrymandering once or twice, probably during a presidential election. What exactly is gerrymandering? Essentially, it's the process of giving one political party an advantage over another political party by redrawing district lines. It's like Democrats trying to gain an advantage over Republicans, or Republicans trying to gain an advantage over Democrats. You see, each party wants to gain as many districts as possible so they can do things like control the state budget or set themselves up to win even more districts in the future. So, to understand how this process began and how it continues today, we must go back to 1812 in Massachusetts. Elbridge Gerry, the governor of Massachusetts, supported and signed a bill to allow redistricting. That is, redrawing the boundaries that separate districts. The catch? The new lines would favor Gerry's own political party, the Democratic-Republican Party, which no longer exists. You see, Gerry wanted his party to win as many state Senate seats as possible. The more members of your party who vote, the more likely you are to win an election. The new lines were drawn to include loads of areas that would help Governor Gerry in the future. They were so strange looking that someone said the new districts looked like a salamander. The Boston Gazette added Gerry's name to the word salamander, and voila, gerrymandering. The process of dividing up and redrawing districts to give your political party an advantage. So how exactly does someone go about protecting their own political party and actually gerrymandering a district? There are two successful practices: packing a district and cracking a district. Packing is the process of drawing district lines and packing in your opponents like cattle into as few districts as possible. If more districts equals more votes, the fewer the districts there are, the fewer votes the opposition party will get. Packing, then, decreases the opponent's voter strength and influence. Cracking is the opposite, taking one district and cracking it into several pieces. This is usually done in districts where your opponent has many supporters. Cracking spreads these supporters out among many districts, denying your opponent a lot of votes. When you have a large number of people who would generally vote for one type of party, those folks are known as a voting bloc. Cracking is a way to break that all up. So when would a party choose to pack their opponent's districts rather than crack them? Well, that really depends on what the party needs. To dilute your opponent's voters, you could pack them into one district and leave the surrounding districts filled with voters of your own party. Or, if you and your party are in power when it's time to redraw district lines, you could redraw districts and crack up a powerful district and spread your opponent's voters out across several neighboring districts. So, Governor Gerry in 1812 wanted to gain an advantage for his party and redrew district lines in his state in such a crazy way, we have a whole new word and way of thinking about how political parties can gain advantages over their opponents. Politicians think of creative ways to draw districts every few years. So, the next time an election comes around and politicians ask people to vote, be sure to look up the shape of your district and the districts that surround it. How wide does your district stretch across your state? Are all the districts in your state relatively the same shape? How many other districts does your district touch? But always be sure to ask yourself, does my district look like a salamander?
So now that we know what gerrymandering is, how is it used to secure seats of Congress for the Republicans? Here's an example of how gerrymandering affected the state of Pennsylvania. In the state of Pennsylvania, Democratic candidates took 51% of popular vote across the state's 18 districts, but only took 5 of the 18 seats of Congress. This happened because the districts were broken up in a way that would favor Republicans. In the 2012 election, across the country, gerrymandering also helped Republicans secure 13 seats in 6 states, including Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Virginia, and North Carolina, that under normal redistricting rules would normally have been won by Democrats. But what does this mean? The Republicans plan to carry out this scheme on a national scale by implementing the Project Red Map into major swing states, which would mean that if it were to be applied to the presidential election of 2012, Mitt Romney would have narrowly won presidency based off the Electoral College rigging, even though he lost by more than 5 million votes to President Obama.